America got caucus-blocked last night, and a Colorado company built the app that did the blocking. Our Senator Michael Bennet got one vote in Iowa, and it may have been a mistake. Michael Bloomberg rolls into Colorado with a lucrative offer for Democrats, as in actual cash. Denver has a big old empty school. The church would like it. Priceless art is leaving town. Box it up, ship it out. Do you even bother with insurance? And the Avs lose one of their biggest fans because they stole from him right in front of everybody. That's next. Iowa's Democratic caucus got foobarred by an app from a company in Colorado, Shadow Inc. The name sounds like it was just waiting to do someone dirty. Iowa's Democratic Party is now dribbling out partial results a day later, to the great annoyance of everyone who is paid to talk about politics on television. But I'd rather talk about Colorado and the winter day in early February when we saw our shadow. Here's Mark Salinger.
While Shadow Inc. has all the bright lights of TV cameras in Iowa pointing straight at it, finding any information about it here in Colorado is still a little shady. Documents filed in September 2019 with the Colorado Secretary of State's office show this is the address in Denver linked to Shadow's CEO. Hi there. Gerard Nemira lists himself as the CEO of Shadow on his LinkedIn page, also saying he's based in Denver. Over on its website, the tech firm writes they have offices in Denver, Seattle, and New York. Scroll over to Twitter, and the company marks its location as Denver. That's where they tweeted an apology today, saying the process to transmit data from the app failed.
It was just the communication between the app and, if you will, the centralized server that was a problem.
On a stage as big as the Iowa caucus, how could something like this go so horribly wrong? We asked Metro State computer science professor Steve Beatty to help explain.
First time used maybe at a very wide scale. Not everybody was well trained. Maybe we had some sort of an overload somewhere along the line.
Beatty says they may not have tested the app at the capacity level that crippled it Monday night. The important thing to note is that the vote totals were not compromised.
We have every reason to trust that the voting will be secure.
As the vote totals continue to trickle in, the spotlight on Shadow will only get brighter.
And we need to make sure that our tech is all essentially perfect before we start trusting it to our most sacred thing in this country.
And we reached out to Shadow to ask if the app used in Iowa was developed in Denver, but haven't heard back. I called a number listed for the CEO, Kyle. That mailbox is full.
So we heard that Iowa and Nevada were going to use this same thing. Nevada's got some time to think about their choice.
Nevada has actually said that they are not going to use it anymore. They say that they don't want a repeat of what happened in Iowa happening in Nevada in a couple of weeks.
And I called Colorado's Democratic primary. We have a caucus for down ballot races to ask them if they're using the app, and they're like, nope, nope, nope.
It sounds like everybody's washing their hands as fast as they can.
Nope, 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 nope. All right, thank you, Mark. Caucus confusion is not new, and it is not partisan. Remember, then candidate Donald Trump claimed without evidence that the Iowa caucus results should be overturned the year that he lost there. And Iowa Republicans once announced that George Bush had won, then corrected themselves to say it was actually Rick Santorum. Colorado's own caucus confusion is one of the reasons that we're going to hold a presidential primary for the first time in decades. Confidence in our elections, caucuses included, has to be more important than party. When President Trump falsely claimed that millions of people voted illegally, Colorado's then Secretary of State, a Republican, Wayne Williams, came right out to say that the president's claim was ridiculous. When Arapahoe County Clerk Joan Lopez's office was struggling to finish the count in some close races last year, and she couldn't bring herself to explain how a fair election should be run, it was a fellow Democrat, current Secretary of State Jena Griswold, who sent observers to Arapahoe County to reassure the public. Next month, Colorado holds a state-run presidential primary instead of a party-run caucus. And we have every reason to trust the results. 96 votes. Colorado's Democratic Senator Michael Bennet got 96 votes in Iowa last night, according to the first results released. Those lonely Bennet supporters were then forced to pick a new team, a viable candidate with at least 15% in their given room. They also could choose uncommitted, or they could leave the caucus. But the final vote shows Bennet with one solitary vote remaining. So that means that one of two things happened. Either somebody messed up and counted a Bennet voter who didn't pick the second favorite, or somewhere in rural Iowa, there was a precinct so small that one person met the viability threshold of 15%. That'd be 6 or fewer people in the room, with one of them loud and proud for Colorado's Michael Bennet. So I just got a call from Bennett's team. The one vote is real and it is spectacular. It came from tiny Brown Township, Iowa, in Lynn County, where one vote was enough for viability. Bennet was in New Hampshire last night. That's where he is camped out, saying he needs an improbable top 3 finish in order to stay in the race. But there is another single-digit final vote getter in Iowa who's all in to continue past New Hampshire and compete in Colorado. I talked about him with our political experts. Michael Bloomberg is going to come and play in Colorado. He has rolled in with a ton of TV ad money on this station and others. He's got a shiny new expensive office in Lodo. He's got staff. He's got endorsements. Yeah. Are Colorado Democrats going to take Michael Bloomberg seriously?
I don't think so. And I think that we have seen over and over again what happens when somebody comes in and tries to buy Colorado. And that's essentially what Bloomberg is doing. I mean, he's hired everyone there is to hire that I know on the Democrat side and is paying them significant retainers in order to try to deliver Colorado. I don't think it's going to work.
He is paying his people well. And not only is he paying them now through his campaign, but he's committed to paying them all the way through November if he doesn't get the nomination. That's significant. That plays well with Democrats. Listen, Bloomberg will play in Colorado because the conversations I'm having with Democrats is they are looking at him as someone who can beat Trump. Now, we've seen it's almost like 50-50. Democrats voting for an inspirational, aspirational candidate, and the other half are voting for someone who can just beat Trump. And a lot of folks are looking at Bloomberg as an alternative to Biden, as a safe candidate and someone who can beat Trump.
Tomorrow, Colorado's Republican Senator Cory Gardner is expected to vote to acquit President Trump. Republicans are united to end the impeachment process, it looks like. A moderate Democrat, Joe Manchin of West Virginia, proposed a censure as a sort of middle ground. We asked Senator Gardner's team what he thinks of a censure. We asked him more than 24 hours ago. Again, they ignore our questions. President Trump's riding high this week. Rising approval ratings, the impeachment acquittal coming tomorrow. He's got the chance to make fun of Iowa Democrats on Twitter. Republicans are gathering across our state tonight to watch the State of the Union, and they're feeling like they have something to celebrate. Politics guy Marshall Zellinger is hanging out with Arapahoe County Republicans, and Marshall, there in Arapahoe, their support of the president got their congressman and their sheriff and their county clerk all run out of office in 2018. I mean, that's a heavy price to pay.
Well, according to the state party, the state GOP spokesman tells me they've identified that happened in 2018 because Trump supporters stayed home in that midterm election, and they've identified who they are, and they'll come out in 2020. But they have events just like this to re-engage and re-energize with those voters. You don't have to look very far, though, to see the impact the president has on local races. So let's look back at that 2018 Arapahoe County blue wave. The Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office, that has a laundry list of Republicans who have served, it turned blue. An outsider, Democrat Tyler Brown, ousted the sitting sheriff, a Republican, Dave Walcher, significantly by 20,000 votes. The clerk and recorder, who you talked about just a little bit ago, Joan Lopez, that race was a little bit closer, but the Democrat ousted the sitting Republican in that one by 5,700 votes. But if you listen to the state party, they want events like this to find the voters who failed to show up in 2018. And regardless of what's said tonight, they think they've got that grassroots attempt to get them to show up to 2020 to get some of the seats. Now, those seats I've mentioned aren't up for re-election in 2020, but you've got the DA's race that's usually Republican, and you've got Jason Crow again, Kyle.
Marshall, I hear them making the case that you'll hear people make about Cory Gardner, that it's not a matter of convincing independents or unaffiliateds. It's forget about the middle, just turn out our people.
But, we've done stories with Magellan Strategies, which is a conservative polling firm, and they have shown that the Republicans have the support if they show up, but they still need that independent and perhaps Democrat, but really the independent voice. So even if you have your own, which they will here, they still have to bleed out a little bit.
All right, Marshall Zellinger preparing for watch party night in Arapahoe County. Thank you, Marshall. As Denver Public Schools debates what to do with an old, empty Rosedale Elementary, now the Catholic Church is like, oh, hey, give it here. The building has been unoccupied in South Denver for almost 15 years. There was talk of turning it into affordable housing for teachers, but that never happened. Now the Catholic Church is talking about making it a new Catholic high school. There will be meetings with neighbors starting next week, and the Archdiocese will be there to make its case.
There's a way to get on a first-name basis with your favorite athletes.
She was a part of the team, yes. Yes. She was like a friend to them.
We learned how Bronco Betty did it. And the Avs saw their fans having some good, clean fun with something. So they stole it and are making money off of it. That's next.
Who owns a fan's love for their favorite team? Who owns the hashtags that they use to show that love? For years, Avs fans have predicted which player will score first using the hashtag #AvsTwitterPsychic. This weekend, the team's owner, Cronky Sports, swept in, took the hashtag, and branded it with a sponsorship. Our Steve Steger looks at who owns online love.
For 13 years, Jay Veen has had a conversation with Avs fans through the Avs Hockey Podcast. And back in 2013, that conversation moved to Twitter, where Jay created a game. He told us about Avs Twitter Psychic during a taping of our podcast from the cheap seats earlier this year.
I just wanted to have fun. I wanted to celebrate whether they won or lost because they're going to lose. It's sports, right? But it's become this super inclusive thing where it doesn't matter. You don't have to be, you don't have to know hockey.
Before each Avalanche game, fans tweet who they think might score the Avs' first goal with the hashtag #AvsTwitterPsychic.
A good friend of the show, he always says it's everybody's favorite game to lose because you have to celebrate an Avalanche goal, but it may not be your guy.
It got so popular that even the team got in on it.
And the Avalanche have been so kind to kind of play. A couple fans asked them to play throughout the years. In the last 3 seasons, they've played every game.
And that was great until Saturday, when the team began monetizing the hashtag with the sports gambling site FanDuel as a sponsor. Veen was crushed, tweeting that the game was supposed to be about community, not money. And the fans agreed, lashing out at the Avs with dozens of replies, something the organization hasn't responded to yet. Veen didn't want to comment on the story as he tries to figure out what's next for the game.
So we reached out to Cronky Sports and Entertainment today. They own the Avs. We also asked FanDuel for comment. No such luck from either side. So the question is, can you trademark a hashtag?
Yeah.
This is a relatively new part of trademark law, but the attorneys that I talked to today say if you tie it to a good or service, say you put it on a shirt, then you might be able to actually file a trademark for it. But in this case, it doesn't seem like there's an actual physical item
That it's on at this point.
Yeah.
I kind of think that we need to take care of Hey Next before that Jim Benneman over at Channel 4 takes it.
That's what I was
He's a
thinking.
slippery fish.
He is.
Yeah.
He is.
All right.
By the way, no tweet from the Avs tonight. Game's going on right now.
Oh,
They didn't
really?
tweet.
Ooh, wonder if they got some blowback.
I wonder.
All right.
Just a little bit.
We'll watch it. Thank you, Steve.
You did it. You survived the first big storm of the year and of the month. And you know what? Now we're going to deal with the cold. And speaking of cold, how about the high today? 17 degrees. This time of year, we should be in the mid-40s. But it's going to go even colder as our storm system winds its way out of east central Colorado. Drier air follows in. The snow coming to an end. Advisories for travel canceled out, but will be reinstated for the northern and central mountains tomorrow. As the next storm system takes aim at Colorado, there's a chance for snow here again on Thursday. In the mountains as early as this time tomorrow night. Tonight, though, it is all about the cold. Our forecast low -2, forecast wind chill -14. Please remember the pets and the little ones when you're out at the bus stop tomorrow morning. It will be cold. A sunny day tomorrow, not a terribly warm day, and then a 20% chance of snow showers Thursday night, 60% chance of snow showers Friday, leads you into a nice weekend, and then there are a few more snow showers coming in Sunday and for Monday. But some of us love the snow. Go out, have some fun.
So you're a big fan of your team, huh? Like, wake up in the middle of the night big?
Till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, she would be there for them. If they lost one, she'd still be there for them.
Why one woman made the choice to be there for her team in such a personal way. And the Denver Art Museum didn't want us taking pictures of priceless art boxed up to be shipped across America, so they just left it out in public where you could take the pictures. Next.
The Broncos are greeted on game day by 76,000 cheering, faceless fans. But they knew Ellen Levine Jones's face, and they knew her name. She had been there for them since the 60s. Games, practices, even when they'd arrive home in the middle of the night after a brutal loss. The woman known as Bronco Betty passed away last week at the age of 78. We asked her family what drove that devotion to the team.
She was an amazing person. Everybody loved her. Everybody loved talking to her all the time. I am Frankie Morrison. My mom is Ellen Levine Jones, and she was called Bronco Betty. #1 Bronco fan. She went to all the Bronco games, no matter if it snowed, rained, no matter what. She loved them. That was her pride and joy, to go watch the games, to go see them all the time. She went to all the training camps. She would sit there in the hot heat and sun and sit there and watch them practice all the time. She was a part of the team, yes, yes. She was like a friend to them. She was a nice person. People that would sit next to her would talk to her all the time. She was nice to talk to, a sweet lady. No, she's not with us anymore. We loved her. We liked talking to her. We miss her not being here at the Bronco games and talking about the Broncos and having a nice energetic energy and nice personality, nice feelings about the Broncos. She's going to be well missed. She was a wonderful lady.
Yes, indeed. Monet is out. The exhibit at the Denver Art Museum is over. So we were curious how priceless masterpieces are carefully packed up and then moved along to their next stop. But the museum told us that we couldn't show you due to security measures, which made this awkward.
Well, well, well. What do we have here? Those would appear to be boxes of priceless art, just sitting out in public view. Quick, blur it out. The Reddit user who posted these pictures, Samantha, she told us she was at the museum yesterday, and the art was just boxed up and sitting around. Museum worker was standing right there and didn't say a word as she took photos of the top secret shipment.
The blur almost kind of makes it look like a Monet of a box with a Monet in it. No, okay, it doesn't. The most Colorado thing we saw today, and your feedback next. The most Colorado thing we saw today is the best way to enjoy the 70s that we saw last weekend, with the wind in your fur and the goggles shading your eyes, sitting in the back of your owner's backpack as you cruise on your three-wheeler, as one does. Friend Becky Ditchfield spotted this crew on Arapahoe in Parker. I used to call those doggles, but then I was informed that is a trademark term for a specific kind of dog goggles, and I don't want that company going all Avs Twitter psychic on me. Beth writes in tonight to say, as a gal born and raised in Iowa, I think I'm qualified to say that perhaps a few of the precinct captains last night are usually in charge of bringing casseroles and Jell-O salads rather than counting votes and delegates. Well, that all sounds delicious. I say get you a precinct captain that can do both. See you next time.